We'll see you guys next time on the Pod of Greed.
Okay. As every week is something new. Well, hey, it's Thursday. Your
Wednesday
friendly
for us.
neighborhood podcasters are back.
And remember, this is the only podcast on the entirety of the internet.
We hope you're having a wonderful week. Today, we are going to be finally talking about Yu-Gi-Oh again. We have a sort of new segment that we don't have a name for, but like we hope to maybe incorporate.
We're just going to say some random things.
We always, I've noticed that we always are like, let's incorporate this segment, and like literally the next week we've forgotten about it. So
that keeps it
maybe
fresh.
This one will
keeps
like
on
stick.
our toes.
And we have an update to a Pokemon situation. We've got a mangaka sort of Twitter internet.
Which at this
Drama,
point, I think
beef.
anyone can predict that story.
Most people probably kind of know how that is. And a couple other things. Xbox news. So yeah. Cool. Thank you for joining us. Remember to drop a like, leave a comment.
Hype the video.
Ones in
if
chat.
If you're mobile.
All of those things really go a long way, seriously. Okay, so the segment that I thought that we should make it a segment, but you're the one who actually had something to say. It's basically like if we have like a new thought, just a stray thought about card games.
An idea.
I think that this is like we should find some name for this. You guys can maybe suggest it. These could be called Shards of Greed. Someone maybe, I think, said that about...
Oh, yeah, it's a break you off a Shard of Greed.
They said that about the Clips channel. That's what it should be called.
Which isn't bad, but it might be too Yu-Gi-Oh-y.
Yeah. Either way, though, what's your Shard?
So my Shard for today is... first context. In the last 2 months, I have been playing an aggressive amount of card games. I typically play card games every month, every week, multiple times a week. But because I've been getting there's Bandai regionals coming up in May. I've been playing a lot more Bandai games, and then Paul and I have been running Genesis games, trying to get like into like the Yu-Gi-Oh groove.
Yeah, that was in anticipation of YCS Columbus.
And in all this time, I've played so many card games, it's actually changed my personal tier list of card games that I play. You guys who followed us for a long time, you know my favorite card game to play is Digimon. For a long time I said that's the most fun card game for me to play right now, and that has certainly changed. So let me hit you guys with my current list. My current list is this. My favorite card game to play right now is, drumroll please. Okay, no drumroll. Yu-Gi-Oh. Yu-Gi-Oh is actually, I think, the most fun game that I play right now.
And that's probably the biggest change, it sounds like.
Like it's
for a long time it wasn't as...
It's come like I've always loved Yu-Gi-Oh, but it wasn't always the most fun for me to play. And then in second place is actually the Gundam TCG. And in third place is the Digimon TCG. And which is it's kind of huge, right? Digimon went from 1 to 3rd, and Gundam had just kind of snuck its way in there. And I have my reasons. Mm-hmm. So number one, so Yu-Gi-Oh's at the top, right? Yu-Gi-Oh, the modern game of Yu-Gi-Oh has actually, at least in my opinion, it's settled into a fairly decent place right now. If you skip like the very top of the meta in the advanced format and you take one step back from that, let's stop talking about tier 1 decks and we start talking about tier 2 decks, and all of a sudden the field of Yu-Gi-Oh is extremely diverse. And you might say, well, the power level of the cards are crazy. Yeah, but it's kind of all of the cards now. Like just about every other card is super powerful, like way stronger than things we were playing in 2015. And it's actually easier to get those cards now than ever because of all the reprints. Like, there's only a few choice cards that are strong and you can't really get easily. Mm-hmm. Now cards like Lightning Storm are printed as commons.
Yeah, the Molt Charmies, a lot of the
Charmies are really commons.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. I mean, I as a Yu-Gi-Oh, I've been playing more Yu-Gi-Oh myself just the last year or so. I've always played it, but I've been doing the regional stuff and kind of taking a more serious approach to tournaments. There's a regional this weekend that I might go to, though it's quite a drive.
I have 6 copies of Droplets.
Yeah, and it is interesting to see, first of all, just how cards like Droplet and Lightning Storm that nowadays are just like, they're commons in these decks.
It's easy
there
to get.
was once upon a time when like it was not easy to get these things.
And they're still strong.
But more importantly, I guess to your bigger point, yeah, they are still strong. I do think that like Yu-Gi-Oh is a game that I try to avoid saying things like Yu-Gi-Oh is like the best of the card games or, such and such, because it's subjective. Play whatever the hell you want.
You don't play enough card games to say
Yeah, me personally, I don't even play. But there are people who like will say that having not played other card games. They'll still say Yu-Gi-Oh is the best thing ever. And it's like, well, you don't play other card games. What the fuck would you know?
It's like, it has to be for you.
But in all honesty, though, I really do think that Yu-Gi-Oh, from the exposure I've had to other card games and the, how much Yu-Gi-Oh I play, I think Yu-Gi-Oh has certain strengths in terms of like how much dopamine it can provide for you in a quick, succession, so to speak. Like, I think that I don't want to say like got a higher skill ceiling because, again, who am I to talk? I'm not a professional Magic player. But more like, I do think that the amount that it just demands of you to juggle quickly at once, I would say is pretty high. And I think that if you're the type of player who likes or gets some amount of joy out of like that high octane thing, then I would say Yu-Gi-Oh has the potential to be for you the best card game or the most like satisfying, constantly stimulating card game.
Because, in every card game, you and your opponent take turns.
Don't mind me, I'm about to just adjust a light real quick.
On your turn, you have the agency. On their turn, they have the agency. That's how card games work. Yu-Gi-Oh's like, yeah, but anytime your opponent can do something, you can respond. And vice versa. And that means in Yu-Gi-Oh, you're actually making decisions at a rapid clip compared to every other card game. It feels less like you are playing like in a turn-based manner, and more so you're just grappling with your opponent in real time.
Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! It is very interesting when I play these other card games where like you, in your opponent's turn, you just kind of can't do anything.
Just chill out and just let them do what they do.
I don't see that as like an objective bad thing, but I do see it as like, it's just something that makes Yu-Gi-Oh! Very unique, is that you are so constantly having to stay locked in. In some ways, it's like it's too much intensity for some people.
I think I think it can overwhelm anybody, but I think everybody would be able to appreciate that if they gave it its due and they were adequately prepared.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I have started to feel about this modern Yu-Gi-Oh dilemma, is I wonder how much of it is just like people having these perceptions without actually just speaking to each other. Mm-hmm. So, and that goes on to both sides. Like, you'll see these people who are like, oh my God, like Yu-Gi-Oh is just this, it's so crazy, it's so overwhelming, I can't handle it. Or like they've ruined it, they made one card combos, long turns, they negate everything, it's solitaire. But I do wonder if those people, like, when the last time they gave it an honest try was. Right. Because it's not to say that they're wrong. Those elements do exist in Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, you can have a very long turn, or you can get locked out of a game. But I think that the way that the game is played now, and the way that a lot of the top decks are, and even some of the more middling decks, it's not really like that, like, fully, and there's just more nuance to be had. And for the people that are super opposed to it, I wonder how up to date their view is. Like, do they know what the current top decks are? Like, am I talking to somebody who maybe took a break in the last couple months, took a break in the last couple years, or took a break in the last couple decades? Like, it really does make a difference.
Very, very valid and possible.
So, I always try to encourage people, like, and I think this isn't just a Yu-Gi-Oh thing, it actually probably applies to all the card games that you play, is like, it's okay to like kind of update your, not like rankings of card games,
your
not
firmware.
To be like objective. Yeah, your firmware. You don't have to like have this like objective like ranking of these games, but kind of more like, if you stopped playing a game, maybe like kind of check back in on it and see what it's like, right? Like, see, has it addressed some of the issues that you had with it? Maybe the gameplay loop that it's adopted is different now than what you had issues with before. Like there's so many different things because we have been playing a lot of Genesis. You and I have, and like Genesis is pretty cool.
I love it. The diversity of the field is terrifying, but there is a latent, like, that chaotic element is a bit fun, that you aren't expecting to face one of 3 decks anytime you sit down. That anything can happen, because it can happen to you, but it could also happen to your opponent. So you're all kind of just wading into this very diverse, crazy field of strategies, and they're trying to get you out of the game, but you're trying to do the same to them, and you both have like a very equal opportunity to do so.
Yeah.
And that's actually what informs. So because Yu-Gi-Oh is clearly the most fun game for me to play right now, it actually caused me to look at the other games I was playing and re-ranked how I felt about them. So Gundam made it to the second place. And it made it second place because I can't think of a game more different from modern Yu-Gi-Oh that I'm playing than the Gundam TCG. And that's because it resembles old Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, the Gundam TCG, to me, right now, it feels like playing, like, GOAT Yu-Gi-Oh! In the Gundam TCG is all about, like, trading cards with your opponent, not outside of the game. Like, using one card to kill 2 of your opponents. It's a card advantage-based game. You're trying to get 2-for-1s. You're trying to have a larger hand. It's like playing old-school Yu-Gi-Oh! And so it's kind of like a complete reverse from what we play in advanced format Yu-Gi-Oh! Of just go, hyper interactivity. In the Gundam TCG, you don't have a lot of opportunities to interact with your opponent. You have some small windows, but that's really it. For the most part, when it's your opponent's turn, they have all the agency. And when it's your turn, you have all the agency. And you use that time to try to figure out, how do I make my one card beat 2 of theirs? And so you're playing this kind of mental, like, slow chess battle. And that feels like it's just so much fun to do.
Yeah. I think that, it's interesting how your tastes in what you're looking for in a card game can change like that. Like, it's weird because I will often hear people maybe suggest a game like Pokemon as like a good beginner game. And I've played a bit of Pokemon. I actually downloaded Pokemon TCG Live even recently. And I do think that it's beginner friendly, but I do also find that maybe it's just not interactive enough for me. Like, right. And by interactive, I mean, I don't like the agency, just having none of it in my opponent's turn. I almost, as antsy as Yu-Gi-Oh can get, I do like that in Yu-Gi-Oh I'm kind of asked to pay attention a lot. And, once you get to interacting, you are interacting in this game sometimes. Yeah. And so I imagine if Gundam even has elements of that, then you're probably enjoying that more than perhaps Digimon. Like, if the current Digimon is looking less interactive, then...
It's funny because I can get into like Digimon right now. So Digimon hit the 3rd place, and it's not because it's less interactive than Gundam. It's actually because it does, at least of the Bandai games, it does the best impression of emulating modern Yu-Gi-Oh! While not providing the high level of interactivity that somehow keeps this game going. Because right now in Yu-Gi-Oh, the power levels of decks are so high that if you were literally not allowed to interact with your opponent during their turn, you would just lose, and you would not have a chance. Like, your opponent would build an unbreakable board, you wouldn't be able to break it, and then they would swing and win, or vice versa. That's how Yu-Gi-Oh would be if we couldn't do anything on each other's turns. And honestly, that's kind of what the Digimon TCG feels like. The power level of strategies is extremely high, where, just for context, in the Digimon TCG, you have to hit 5 shields or securities and then swing one more time on your opponent to win the game. In the Digimon TCG, plenty of decks can go through all 5 in one go, in one turn, and because you don't really have agency to do anything in that game. Yes, they have their little hand trap ace monsters, but now the decks are built in where you kind of can't use an ace against decks. So they'll just build up a board, hit you for all of your security in one turn, and if you live, you're one hit away from death, and you're staring down some colossal behemoth, and it's like, okay, if I wanted that high level of a game, I could play Yu-Gi-Oh and still be able to like tango with my opponent and try to deny them that perfect board. But in Digimon, it's just, it gets huge and it goes. And it's not to say that Digimon's not fun, but
it's just at present, it is not providing you an experience you're enjoying as much right now.
Honestly, I could go pick up some some Gundam cards, or pick up my Yu-Gi-Oh deck, and I have found a lot more fun playing those two games right now. And but hats off to Yu-Gi-Oh. You dragged me back in. I don't know how you did it, but I guess Pumpkin helped. Yeah. New zombies do help.
Yeah, if you get a new deck that you like, that's Yu-Gi-Oh. It's got a way of doing that too. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll have to try to bring one next week because I'm sure I can think of something. I've got plenty to say. Well, as for Yu-Gi-Oh news, there is a new product that's finally been announced and a sort of product-based update. So the first new product is a new TCG product, Legendary Arc 5 decks. Mm-hmm. So we've just recently gotten Legendary Modern decks, and before that we had Legendary 5Ds decks. Well, now we're getting Legendary Arc 5 decks. So it's Odd Eyes, Luna Light, and Speedroids, which I thought was an interesting little trio of decks. They seem to be finally giving Odd Eyes a Link 3 monster, they say. You guys are going to have to excuse it if you can hear their vacuuming outside.
Just to be, guys, we needed the vacuuming. This needs to happen.
Yeah, I probably can't even hear. Maybe you can hear it on the mic. Anyway, the point is, new Link 3 Odd Eyes monster, a new Luna Light, Beast Warrior thing, and a new Speedroid tuner. So
did they show the monster, or they just say
they describe them?
Okay,
it's kind of interesting.
Okay.
They sort of describe what the cards do, but we haven't seen the art of them. We just know that these are the themes that are getting supported, and this comes out on August 6th of this year. So, first reactions, how do we kind of feel about the third now Legendary Decks revival thing they've come out with?
So, I could honestly, it's weird. I actually don't care what archetypes are in the Legendary decks anymore.
Yeah.
Because the staples they put on those decks are the star of the show.
Yeah.
Because the Legendary Modern decks, I didn't want to play either one of those three decks. But boy, was I happy when I bought it and I took every useful card out of them. And I kind of feel the same way about Arc 5. And despite the fact that Arc 5, it was one of my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh series. A lot of that stuff, at least personally, has not aged all that well. It's hard to get excited about new Odd Eyes cards when I know what that mean, what an Odd Eyes deck looks like and what that means. Yeah. I don't want to play all that. It's hard to get excited about Luna Light because
I always face Luna Light every tournament I play in, like regionals and all these things, and I really don't think that they need much more. A Liger Dance is annoying, but sorry, carry on.
Yeah, the deck makes a tower. Is that they can either give the deck a new weapon that makes it harder to play against in the modern game, or they can give it absolute fluff that won't matter and no one will care. And then there's Speedroids, and I have a long and storied history with Speedroids. It starts and ends with dice rolls. My God, do I hate that archetype. So I could care less what decks are in it. I'm more excited for hand trap reprints, the staple spells and traps.
I mean, I will say this, though. I think that it is nice as an excuse of sorts to maybe revisit some of these decks. I remember when I did Legendary 5Ds decks, it was cool to just play Blackwings, because I remember when Blackwings got that support, and Black and Darkwing Blast. And at the time, I'm not a huge Blackwing fan or anything, but it was a pretty fun deck to play, and it worked pretty well. And I guess it was just nice to have a one product that just gave it all to me. Because sometimes in Yu-Gi-Oh, you want to build a deck and you're mildly interested in building it, but not quite enough to
do the scavenger hunt.
Yeah, do the scavenger hunt and order the cards. So maybe for you that could be a chance to revisit Odd Eyes in a quick and easy way because like you'll just have the, presumably at least, it'll just give you all the cards, or maybe the same with Speedroids.
Just imagining reading a Pendulum Monster again is making bile raise up in my throat.
Sounds a little stressful.
I'm sorry, pendulums have not aged well for me.
But remember what we just said though. Sometimes you gotta revisit. You're gonna revisit stuff.
I don't want to play with pendulums ever again.
Speedroids then.
Oh, there's one thing I hated Speedroids. Like, okay, so hear me out. I might, if they removed all the chance-based bottlenecks in Speedroids.
Which, to be fair, I think they only have like 2 cards that are
and it's very annoying trying to optimize combo routes, but depending on which way the die rolls, you go one way or you go the other way. One way plays around nib, the other way plays around no.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this though, they're probably aware of that. Like, this is actually something that like I've talked about in the past off camera. Konami, they make such good support these days is designed so smoothly for these archetypes. Like, whatever issue you probably had, they're aware of it, and they're just going to literally give a card that removes any degree of variance out of it. Like, they will guarantee that you will like get what you need. Which, I don't know,
man. That deck upset me so much.
I think if I was to buy this,
combo routes.
If I was to buy this, I would try out either Speedroids or maybe I would try Lunalight, because I hate Lunalight so much that it makes me want to maybe I'll learn something by.
I'm just slightly horrified at what they might make for Lunalight. Lunalight has had, Arc 5 cards and archetypes in general have had a stupid amount of support over the years. Like, there are a lot of Lunalight cards to the point where, what would a new Lunalight even be? Like, they've done what felt like every cat.
They've done everything in the cat family, but also, they've given them so many tools. It's a very consistent deck. They have a towers that can field nuke you and is, unaffected by everything. They've got a spell and trap negate. I don't really know that there's.
So it's gonna be
much more that you can give them outside
Puma,
of just
Knight, Queen. She can quick effect, pop 2 speller traps.
Actually, I guess they say it here in this blurb. They give them a new level 5 Beast Warrior that you can summon from hand anytime a Lunalight activates its effect. And if your opponent activated a card or effect that same turn, you can also grab a poly from your deck or grave. So it kind of lets you fuse more. And as a backup feature, this brand new Lunalight monster, if it's sent to the grave, can special summon another Lunalight monster from your graveyard or face-up extra deck.
Sounds like a very solid extender.
So yeah, it's just kind of one of those extender / it just fills in the gaps card. There aren't many gaps, but fills them in.
It's like were there gaps there? I think they made a gap and filled it immediately.
Which that maybe is one of the things I don't always like about new archetype design. And sometimes it feels like archetypes don't have any they're afraid to give an archetype a weakness. They'll allow it to always be able to kind of just access anything, recover anything, out anything. It's I don't know. I kind of like archetypes to have some deficiencies, but
no, not in modern Yu-Gi-Oh. If your archetype has deficiency, that's called tier 3.
Lower than that, I'd say. Well, anyways, that does segue into the second bit of Yu-Gi-Oh news, which is Starlight 2.0. So they say that we've been cooking up some visual changes to our Starlight Rares and getting ready to launch what's best described as Starlight 2.0, beginning with Chaos Origins and continuing, of course, in Legendary Arc 5 decks and beyond. These updated Starlight Rares adopt some technical adjustments that are already in use overseas, that's to say the OCG, to produce richer colors while making them easier to read. They also replaced the gray outer card border with a rainbow foil border, which is especially noticeable on Starlights with extended art. Note that Starlight 2.0 is just a description and not a new name or rarity. A Starlight Rare is a Starlight Rare. We're just making some technical adjustments. And no, we're not planning to reprint any previous Starlight Rares with the new tech. So, cool little change, it sounds like. I guess we don't really get a picture or anything to see, but we can imagine if you've opened OCG cards, which we have.
They do look beautiful.
Yeah, they look really good.
I was going to say brutiful.
Like a brutiful.
Yeah, brutiful.
So what do you think of this idea?
It's because we haven't seen it, it's hard to be excited, but any improvement in our current rarity system, I'm happy with. Because I was already fine with the way Starlight's already looked, but our Starlights did have some issues to them. Like as shiny as they were, it felt like it was impossible to read the names on them.
That was actually even more of an issue with like QCRs because
QCR. I found them just straight up ugly.
Yeah, the QCRs used like a lot of the Starlight technology, but for some reason the names were impossible to read. You go back to Starlights and they're like generally easier to read, but they still just look better in the OCG.
Like maybe they're actually making this change to further differentiate Starlights from quarter century rares.
True, but I mean they're not even making quarter century rares anymore. So like, would they need to be just?
I mean, I don't know, because it felt like quarter century rares were like, hey, we're gonna do everything Starlights do, and then add more bleh.
Well, when I can also like add this into the fact that they are revamping the ultimate rares in these new ultimate tournament packs, it does feel like there's a concerted effort at Konami to. So between like new Starlights and new ultimate rares, because they're talking about like the etching and all that stuff. Plus just overframes in general, they do seem to be trying to make Yu-Gi-Oh cards just have a more premium feel, at least in the high-end rarities. Like they want your high-end rarity to really feel like you pulled something special. It feels good in the hand. It has like an embossing and a texture and like really making a sparkle, not just like a gaudy, like bleh, but like a very deliberate thing. And while we haven't seen these in person yet, it stands to reason that they will look good and like add to just because like I think Yu-Gi-Oh's had its lunch kind of eaten a little bit by some of these other card games, and so now,
every new card game looks better than Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah,
and that's not me talking down on Yu-Gi-Oh. They subjectively do.
Yeah, or at least even if they don't look better, they are more willing to try creative things with like foil technology that Yu-Gi-Oh generally has not been.
But I mean, we're more of a traditional
is,
like Konami's kind of a traditional card game company. I don't think they love the idea of breaking like what has worked over the years. And we've seen a lot of changes in the card game space in the last decade now. Everybody's new card game feels like they smell blood. They think, ooh, Yu-Gi-Oh is slipping. Time for me to slip in, and we're not going to make the same mistakes they did, and we're going to do better than them. It hasn't always worked out for a lot of these games, and I mean, we keep hearing about games disappearing all the time.
Yeah, it was an altered TCG.
Yeah, the altered TCG.
That's ending.
But which I'm not saying they were coming for Yu-Gi-Oh's throat, but I think a lot of new games are, and maybe Konami let's put some pressure on them. Like, okay, let's upgrade some things.
It is interesting too that the OCG has always just gotten such better print quality than us. Like, I mean, I know that they have a different, I'm sure factories that are doing it over in Japan or whatever, but like we've really gotten some sludge in recent times. But even before like the major drop in card quality, things were still just rarely as good as the OCG. But then like randomly, every now and again, there will be a set or a series of sets that get weirdly clean, good print quality. Like, do you remember the 25th anniversary re-releases of like, LOB, Spell Ruler? Yeah. Those were printed by some other
for sure
place. Such cleaner cards. Like the card, they were just so bright and clean and like clear looking.
You couldn't even confuse them for like the actual originals.
Yeah,
they just looked clear.
It's also the card stock was different. Like it was very like rigid card stock and just very high quality. Like,
do like some firm card stock
feel. And every now and again, I'll recognize that again. Like,
should I say pause for that?
Mm-hmm. Maybe so. I don't know. Rarity Collection 5, I finally got my hands on some cards from that, and like it kind of gives those vibes too. Like of just compared to everything else in the last few months, really good print quality.
Like for me, it's hard to imagine us suddenly getting good card quality again. But I haven't opened up any Rarity Collection 5 yet, so
I can't even fucking find a damn set.
I will wait until I have some packs in hand to actually draw a conclusion. Because look, I'd be ecstatic if we're back in an era where cards look good again. And I'm not saying every card look bad because everyone has one card that looks good in their collection. But I mean, if you've watched our videos, we've done quite a few openings of different like products, and
sometimes it's hideous. Sometimes it's great, but a lot of times we've had some hideous like.
What did we open? Where I opened up a gradient of one card.
Yeah, there's been a few. That was the recent one was Spirit Charmers.
Yeah, it was the Spirit Charmers decks. My God.
What was annoying about that was like they were like some were drastically like dark or really faded or really blurry, and like you could just have we had 3 copies of this deck, and you could open all 3 of them, and then just all 3 would look different. And I posted about this on social media, and people were like telling me like, "No, Paul, like that's just Europrint. Like those are Europrint versus EU." It's like. And I get it; they just only saw a picture of it, so maybe to them that I've talked about all this back in the day. Like that was a thing. Like Europrints look different. This was 3 of the same structure deck product from the shelf at Target, and they just looked and that much variance. That is insane.
That was very disheartening. That was probably one of my least favorite openings of all time. We've opened bad sets, and I didn't feel as bad as I did opening Spirit Charmers.
Those looked like just vomity. It was a mess, but that's kind of the Yu-Gi-Oh news for the week. I haven't seen too much else to my knowledge.
Yeah, I can just throw in a quick thing here. Over on like WIGO organization, they've been posting translations for the valuable book 6.
Oh, yeah, that recently came out. That's the lore book.
So, yep. So it's if you don't know about the valuable books, those are Yu-Gi-Oh like art and lore books where you can get some context for a lot of the newer archetypes and some of the like archetypes that are getting new support in the last like year or so. Valuable Book 6 has the updated dual terminal lore for all the archetypes that got support in the last like I think 2 years.
Yeah, that's generally about the time frame.
Actually, I closed the page I had open that had it.
I've always just been so surprised that they don't bring these valuable books over, even just in like online PDF form. Like, because I get that maybe they don't want to like sell it. They assume that people in the West just like won't care and won't buy it or whatever.
You won't appreciate it.
But like, I don't think that it would hurt to just sort of like have a way to read it in English. Like it's cool. It's cool that like fans go out of their way and they try to translate them and get some context for like what's actually happening in the Diabell Star story, the Art Mage story or whatever. But like it shouldn't really have to be that way because these are still Konami's like proprietary monsters and cards and stuff. So like if people want that information, make it available to them, Konami.
And if you since we can't get it legally, then we have to use the scans online. They have like Mitsurugi, Mimigul. I don't even know what that is. Wake
those
Cup.
Are the Wake Up.
The
series.
Wake Cups.
Yeah, those are cool.
They actually provide like pretty substantial like amounts of like lore, even for like just archetypes that got one card in the last like couple years.
You'll still get something.
You'll get something for it. I've enjoyed reading the translations. For me, when there's a big lore story going on, that's when they're the best to read. Like when we had it was World Chalice. That was a fun time to read their lore. Diabell Star. That was a fun time. But the big lore stories are always a lot of fun. And now that we have the actual like anime Yu-Gi-Oh Chronicles series, it feels like we're in the best point of Yu-Gi-Oh lore.
A lore head.
It's not great, just to be clear. We're still not where we should be, but we're better than we've been.
Well, we got a little update. Let's talk some
they have
Pokemon.
Fur Hire.
Oh, I guess they gave some insight into that. They gave us an update on that Pokemon organized play situation that we discussed. Firestar73, you might remember, he was given a game loss.
Was this the gentle fist pump?
Yeah, the Pokemon Go finalist at a regional in Orlando wins the match, seems to celebrate a little bit.
I do mean a little.
Called back, and they said that he had to forfeit the game, and so it ended up giving it to his opponent, and there was a lot of controversy over this. Well, people were demanding a response, a statement from Play Pokemon, and they gave one.
Uh-oh.
So, at the recent Pokemon Orlando regionals, 2 instances of penalties being issued during streamed matches have created questions within the community about celebrations. Play Pokemon has reviewed each instance, and we would like to provide more information. In the first instance, during the Pokemon TCG Swiss Round 13 match, the tournament headphones were removed, and were thrown onto the table on top of cards and damage counters, putting the TCG game state in disarray before additional game actions could be taken to complete the game. A match loss was issued for the disruption of the game state and not playing out the final sequence to finish the game. We saw this one.
That is what we saw.
That was the one. I remember, I think we said I kind of agreed with that one.
That one.
The headphones definitely
coming from a Yu-Gi-Oh background, like, you can't do that.
In the second instance, though, this is the one revolving around Firestar73. In the second instance, during the Pokemon Go Grand Finals, we would like to share some information which may not be known to the broader community. Prior to the final game incident, during Game 1 of the Bracket Reset series, a player was issued a warning for the action of hitting and shaking the table during gameplay. Actions such as these can have a negative impact on the experience of participants and disturb the match in progress. Then, during Game 5, this same player's behavior continued to be disruptive, including shaking the table to the point that there was a disruption to the broadcast experience. These repeated infractions resulted in a penalty that was escalated to a game loss. We will uphold the decisions made by the judges at these events. Pokemon judges are committed to bringing the best possible experience to our players by preserving the competitive integrity of our events. Without them and their commitment to play Pokemon, we would not be able to hold events to our expectation that they're treated with the same respect as all people in the community. In the moment of a win, emotions are high, and we recognize that these emotions can lead to energetic reactions celebrating a win. We want to support this authentic, positive reaction and not discourage this excitement. Celebrations are not an issue, but actions that disrupt or can negatively impact competitive integrity can be. We'll continue to listen to the community of players and our judges on how to best evolve our tournament system rules and how penalties are enforced. The Play Pokemon team. Okay, so that's their statement.
Yep.
It's out there. We have it. I've seen the reactions to this online. They're not positive generally. A lot of people they don't feel that this is sufficient. They don't agree with the ruling. They think that this is maybe a little bit too vague. And overall, it's just not been well received. What do we think?
Yeah, this is a fumble.
How do we feel?
Upholding the decision, at least in the first instance, that's fine to me. Like, I've already made my feelings clear on the headphones thing. I get that. On the second one, though, the game was over and a champion was decided. In competition, winning is all that matters. The winner is always right. That's what I believe ultimately. If they make their way to that winner's podium in a fair and legal manner, everything else doesn't really matter. That man won that game, won that tournament. I feel like you can punish him in every way you want, except take away their award and their win. To me, that's unacceptable. That the whole point of this is to achieve victory. He did that. Maybe he didn't win it in the cleanest way. He shook the table a little bit. But
so I guess the pushback that I will have on this is that it sounds like he had shaken the table during the first game, and that has not been the topic of conversation.
Right.
So it sounds like there was an earlier disruption in the match. So I guess they're trying to kind of put that out there that the second time that he did it was he'd already gotten a warning for it. Mm-hmm. So it's sort of similar like in Yu-Gi-Oh regionals. If you get the first time's a warning, and then the next time it gets escalated with a game loss. So the second time, it sounds like I can see where the idea of giving a game loss probably came from. What's strange to me though is that they did not. So let's say you and I are playing a match and it's like a 5-round game or whatever.
Okay. In
game 1, I shake the table. It's a disruption. The judges tell me that's a disruption, so I need to stop. And in game 5, I do the same thing again, and they tell me I need to stop. And so, or they tell me I get a game loss now because the first time was a warning and the second time was a game loss. I kind of get that. But what I don't understand is why was he allowed to, at what point did they tell him about the second infraction? Because it looks to me on the video as though they reached the end of the game already, and he stood up and was happy and like won. So did they decide retroactively that he had been shaking the table too much in game 5 and go back and kind of like retroactively give him a loss? Because if that's the case, I don't agree with their ruling, since it sounds like they didn't say it when it happened. They said it, they let it kind of finish and then said, oh, by the way, you shook a table. That's why I don't like care for that. Yeah. What are you thinking?
Paul, I smell something.
You think it's bullshit?
That's some Pokemon BS right there. This sounds like a retroactive, like they make a retroactive reasoning for a poor decision.
And that's the impression that I get. Because if this is true, then I see why that would play out that way. But yeah, I'm having difficulty believing. Here's the thing. I don't have difficulty believing that he did it the first time and got a warning. I actually think that's I buy it.
Probably
sure.
True.
But what I just don't buy that if he did it a second time, why was he not informed of it earlier in game 5 when it happened, not after game 5 was allowed to finish? Because that sounds like they're trying to fit a square into a round hole thing.
There's one of two things I think that, if that is the case, there's one of two things I think that's at play here. If he had earned a game loss midway through the final, that means they would have had to stop the game, inform him of his game loss, which would result in a match loss, and then they would end the stream immediately, basically.
Yeah.
But it would end on a very awkward and sour note. And someone could have said, well, that doesn't seem like a very entertaining stream. Let's let them finish first, and then we'll enforce the infraction.
Yeah, so you think they were maybe just trying to go for the display of the full game and in the interest of kind of having a clean-looking stream. But I still just don't really... But if that's the case, though, they would know that this would just be a controversial decision.
In the CNS, I think, I would hope that's a decision they wouldn't make, because...
Yeah.
It's really grimy to allow someone to experience finish a match, to experience the victory and then yank it away.
Retract it. Yeah,
I would hope they didn't do that.
Yeah.
To me, it still sounds like they wanted to enforce a penalty on his post game celebration. And when they received pushback on it, they said, "Oh well, no. He'd actually we warned him earlier.
There were these other things,
and then but then he really did it again." And see,
yeah, I don't love that. I think
that stinks to me.
Yeah, that strikes me as kind of trying to retroactively kind of fabricate. And the thing is, I know a lot of people are giving Play Pokemon a rough time about this, and it does sound pretty bad. But I'm going to give them probably the most charitable thing that they'll hear on the internet today.
Oh, y'all get Paul in the comments, y'all. Just get him.
That's right. Go ahead.
Just
get
him.
But listen, I know how it is as a judge. It sucks because the assumption is always that you are out to get players. And we weren't there. We don't know. I still stand by what I say is that this doesn't sound good to me. This does not sound like a good ruling. This just sounds, like a retroactive thing. But there is always the chance that, none of us were there. None of us know. And I know that's not a great one. I always want to make sure that I guess people remember from this is that even if this is a bad situation, I guess what I fear from stuff like this is that people take these sorts of stories. This is not good. But they'll take these sorts of stories and use it as a way to project onto all judges. That all judges are bad, all judges are out to get you, and they are all liars, and they will always try to screw you out of things.
That's where the Pokemon, that's where Play Pokemon showing accountability
would have made this better.
It would have helped, because now it feels like the us versus them thing.
Yeah, and that's where I think. So to be clear, because sometimes people got the cheap seats around here and they didn't hear me properly. I think that Firestar should have retracted this ruling. He should have been given the win, and they should have let this fly off into the night, and it would have been a fine situation. I truly think it would. I don't think his opponent clearly didn't seem like they would have been bothered by that decision. I think the community would have been happy, and you wouldn't have had to like give this weird thing. I think that they handled this not great. However, I know that I've like heard about people who are DMing judges and harassing people in like the play Pokemon team, like that are just
shouldn't do
simply
that.
on the judge like program or whatever. And like I just know from Yu-Gi-Oh experience, I've been going to a lot of these regionals, and I've been there. I know what it's like to feel like these judges are incompetent, or they somehow had it out for you. And that can happen. I'm sure it can. I'm sure it has. But here it feels like play Pokemon, they sound very similar, is almost throwing their judges a little under the bus here. Like not directly, but it's
on the surface it looks like they're backing their judge.
They're backing their judges.
But in a sense that's like saying, "Hey, we're behind our judge. That was his decision, and
we're just gonna
it's all on him."
Yeah, it's complex, but I think they could have really like dodged a bullet here, and just just not.
I think it saves you a lot of trouble, and the thing is like. For the judge, it doesn't actually matter. The judge doesn't like win anything for like a different person. It doesn't matter to the judge themselves. If Play Pokemon decided we're just gonna like reverse that and give the actual winner their due. I mean, that shouldn't affect the judge in the slightest. And then like backing the judge on this is, I guess it's cute, but that doesn't actually help them either. So
I mean, and here's the thing. One last thing that I should add. If there was like some evidence that, of all, like if they could provide like some evidence, I'm not one of these people where like I'm just deciding that like it must be the judge's fault, like no matter how it's, because there's a world where this is what they're saying is true, but it's just like it does not match with the way that it was played out on the live stream. They let that game 5 end, and he got up and celebrated, and then they told him about this. So that doesn't add up. Like it makes their story feel very forced.
It makes me think of like a boxing analogy. It's like watching a boxing match, and then in like round 8, someone scores a knockout, like a left hook connects and they go down. Crowd goes wild. And then when they go to raise the hand of the winner, they like grab the other guy's hand who had gotten knocked out and raise him and give him the belt.
And then, and to further that analogy, and then they claim that the reason why the person who knocked him out lost is because of something that they did in round 7.
Yeah, so it turns out
by
earlier
the way, in round 7 you had done this thing and we didn't call you on it then, but we kind of just held it in our pocket. Mm-hmm. And once you won, because it makes me wonder, were they even going to notify him of anything if he didn't win the match? Like, let's say that game 5 happened and the other guy won, then it almost feels like there's sort of a devaluing of okay, well, I forget what his Nightcrawler or whatever was his opponent's tag was. If Nightcrawler won game 5 and then they suddenly said, oh yeah, well, Firestar also just got a game loss, so then why do we even play this game 5 out? Like, no matter who won that, it still just seems
it's very
like
strange.
Someone else something should have been said earlier.
Maybe, but that also could be like Play Pokemon's like policy. Maybe the rule is you always play it out.
Yeah, now if that's the case, that doesn't make this feel any better.
It doesn't.
But maybe that's
how it goes.
Someone who knows
I've never
the policy,
played in one,
you can inform us. That's all I can say about it.
Still leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
It was an update. I don't like the sound of it much myself, but I guess they're gonna have to carry on with things as is.
Just remember, guys, if you end up highly ranked in a Pokemon tournament, just don't do anything and just be deadpan and don't express yourself in any way.
Yeah, something like that.
Just to play it safe,
Yeah, okay. Well, I have one last gaming story before we get into what I guess is our main thing, which is so we've been talking a little bit about Microsoft in the past.
We have talked about Microsoft in the past.
Mostly in recent months, it's kind of been this whole downfall of Xbox sentiment that a lot of people have. You know, they haven't done super well the console cycle. They recently, you know, Phil Spencer stepped down, Sarah Bond stepped down, or they were fired, however that played out. Xbox is in a great place. They've had like price increases. And recently they also did like that big price hike from Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, where it became $30 a month, which was huge. Well, now they have a new Microsoft gaming CEO, Asha Sharma. We talked about her a little bit. Well, turns out, you know, when we first talked about it, we thought that she might just be this CEO who is kind of just here in the interim.
Just here to sunset the whole gaming Xbox
thing. It was very doom and gloom. So, not the case as it happens. She actually has had plans. I remember reading a couple of weeks ago headlines. They're trying to find ways of decreasing the price of Game Pass Ultimate. And they actually did it.
No.
They actually dropped the price of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. I'm going to get into the details in a second, but it is wild to me in the year 2026 to ever hear the price of a subscription go down.
That's true. It feels like nothing ever goes down anymore.
Nothing goes down.
It always goes up.
Yeah, things only go. Rent goes up. Netflix goes up from like $12.99.
Wait. I need to know what the difference is, because if this went from 30 to 29, I'm gonna be mad.
No, it is a pretty meaningful difference. Microsoft has dropped the price of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate from $29.99 per month to $22.99 per month. So from $30 to $23. Pretty substantial. That's like about 25%.
It's a big cut. Still don't want to pay that much, but it's a big cut.
Both changes are effective immediately. There is a catch, though, and this catch will either matter to you a lot or literally not at all.
Okay.
Meanwhile, new Call of Duty games will no longer be included as day one releases in either service. Oh yeah, by the way, the other service being PC Game Pass reduced from $16.49 a month to $13.99 a month.
Okay.
So that's if you have Game Pass just on your PC. But yeah, new Call of Duty games will no longer be included as day one releases in either service, and instead will be added during the following holiday season about a year later, according to Microsoft. So that was kind of one of their big draws of Game Pass was, you know, they had that partnership with Call of Duty. Well, I say partnership, I guess they owned Activision now, where you would get new Call of Duty games the same day they came out, like if you had Game Pass.
Right.
So that was part of what made Game Pass so expensive, was them brokering that like deal.
I mean, Call of Duty is a massive seller, and for you to be offering that, you know, kind of for free, you are taking a loss on that. And I think if you expect Call of Duty's sales numbers to not really be impacted, whether or not it's on Game Pass or not, then you probably can remove it from the service. Because I don't know if anyone's going to quit Call of Duty because it's not on Game Pass. They were buying Call of Duties for years before now and never stopped them before. So
yeah, I also think that this is an interesting one because it's such a nice show of goodwill. Like, in all honesty, things were looking kind of bleak for Xbox. And I feel like if you were an Xbox fan, things were very... It didn't look good. The writing was on the wall.
Y'all can go ahead and cancel your PS5 orders.
So, yeah, that's right. Yeah, have you ever seen like the meme about like the apology forms? Like, oh, okay, like whenever like, you know, like a top sports player or whatever, like everybody doubts him and thinks that like this team's gonna lose, and then like when they finally end up winning, you have to submit your apology.
Submit the apology. Yeah, okay, I do.
You know, Mercury was in retrograde. Something about like how I was out of my right mind. Well, anyway,
I couldn't even see out my left eye.
Our players, here's what they say. This is their quote. Our players cover a wide breadth of geographies, preferences, and tastes. So while there isn't a single model that's best for everyone, this change responds to a lot of feedback we've gotten so far, Microsoft said in a statement. We'll continue to listen and learn. So, yeah, she's not wasting her time. She's trying to regain that trust.
I mean, it is a step in the right direction. I won't lie, though. I was scared you were going to say, yeah. And they dropped the price of Game Pass, and all they do is lay off 30% of their staff.
Well, that announcement's going to come next month. Now, there is one small caveat to this, I suppose, that's just worth noting. This has gone down to $22.99 a month, but when it went up to $30, that was a change from $19.99.
Right.
So they went
from 20
go
back to the old price
to $30. down to 23. This is still like a win in a vacuum. But, you know, it's still like that inflation kind of small price increase. But we'll take, you know, what we can get, I guess.
We can get.
Does this, for you, like make Game Pass feel in any way? I know you used to have Game Pass.
No, I currently still do.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't figured out how to cancel it yet.
Oh, okay. Well.
I have it specifically on my my Meta Quest headset.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as I can tell, I can't cancel it without getting into the Meta Quest to do it.
Well, that's Alec. Well, clearly Alec supports Game Pass. He was paying either way. Yeah, no, I mean, like, I think that for the PC Game Pass, that feels very.
The problem is I keep forgetting because I gotta charge the headset, and then by the time
you gotta charge the headset.
I now want to like play. I want to like get on like and play some ping pong and watch like Netflix and YouTube videos, and then it dies, and then like the money comes out of my account. And I'm like, I gotta cancel this thing, and then the headset's dead again.
It's dead,
and the cycle repeats itself.
Yeah, it's a you problem. I will say, I think that the PC price sounds like something that could entice me. Like, I don't know what all comes on Game Pass, so.
I mean, there's a lot.
There's probably a load of games.
Like it's like Steam, but you pay the subscription, now you have it all.
$13.99 a month sounds like something that could, you know, I could live with that. And get some games. I think before it was like $11.99 maybe, something like that.
I don't even know the price. All I know is like squirm whenever it comes out of my account.
Well, you gotta. Well, I guess the real question will be: come next month, will you still be subscribed to? We'll check in. We'll put
I don't want to be.
We'll put a pin in that. But now it feels better because you're $7 less or whatever, however much you were paying. It's less now, so save a few bucks.
I think I might have had it. I think it might have been like a bundle. I think it might have been annual.
I wonder what else that they will be doing. I heard a rumor, and this is just like some report from fucking Dexerto, so who knows if it's true.
Quality journalism.
They were saying that they're at least investigating giving consumers the option to build their own bundle. Like you, instead of Game Pass coming with just all these things in a vacuum, you pick and choose what perks and benefits of Game Pass that you personally want, and then you get a price based on that. Mm-hmm. So in theory, you could maybe get your Game Pass price down quite low to maybe whatever the bare minimum is, and just be getting like the features that you specifically want. Because there's always going to be, like with this Call of Duty thing, there were people who probably played Game Pass Ultimate, but Call of Duty wasn't the reason they did it. And so they were still having to eat that price increase despite not being interested in Call of Duty. So what if there's a world where like...
Oh, that means you can essentially set your price based off what you want to play.
Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know what the system for that would look like. Maybe it could be like by genre. So like, oh, I only play RPG games. So like, I only really want the selection of RPG games that are on Game Pass. I only want those.
But nobody plays every shooter. Like, oh, I like Call of Duty, but like, that doesn't mean I want to play every like FPS on the platform.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe that you could pick certain game series, and those are the ones that matter. You know.
What if I just want to play 2K?
And there's somebody.
Just 2K and Call of Duty.
Yeah, so good for Microsoft. I'm glad they were able to. You know, it's a win. They needed a win, and that's a win for them. So,
I wanted to actually bring a story that I forgot to save to the pod today.
Okay.
And it's rage bait.
What's new?
Yeah, you know your buddy Logan Paul.
Yeah. Oh, I bet I know. What
everything he touches becomes vastly more expensive, and he ruins the market for them.
He has the Midas touch.
Well, he's gotten into buying and graded manga volumes.
Yeah, I saw this last night actually. That he bought. What is it that he bought? Because I think he bragged about it on Twitter.
He got. Let's see. I'm trying to get the exact names. He purchased the.
I know he made a tweet.
He bought a copy of One Piece Chapter 1 at a grade 9 and Dragon Ball Chapter 1 at a 9.2. These are worth approximately $550,000. These are the Japanese prints. So, like,
Very
manga for us, they're nowadays it's all collected in like larger volumes, but in Japan they were like weekly releases, so they're much shorter.
Yeah.
And so he went and got basically the first prints.
Copies of these. Yeah, I know that I saw that he was talking about these, and people had thoughts. There's kind of you'll hear words like LARPer, grifter, tourist. These are some of the words that I hear used to describe him. It kind of gives off the impression of maybe somebody who is going from hobby to hobby, just nostalgia digging, like finding old things from their childhood. It's open. The jury's still out on if he's actually knows what One Piece is, right? Like that's what people.
I mean, he did. It was just One Piece and Dragon Ball, which had the largest kind of imprint in the world.
Following, yeah. What do you think? I mean,
a lot of people have a lot of negative things to say about Logan Paul and what he gets into, but I look at it in a bit of a different way.
All right.
Finally, a Westerner who believes in paying for manga.
Oh, that's what we call foreshadowing, isn't it? Yeah. Well, listen. I mean, all I'll say about it is this. I'll probably end up saying more than all. All I'll say about it is this. Proceeds to talk for the next 10 minutes. I know. I think it's reasonable to be apprehensive when Logan Paul gets into things, because I remember a few months back he was like, I want to get a LOB First Blue Eyes and buy LOB or whatever, and so people are afraid he's gonna ruin Yu-Gi-Oh or ruin. I know he caused a bunch of buyouts and stuff in One Piece, and there's a certain crowd of dude bro investor wannabe vendor types that follow his lead when it comes to these collectible.
I've got a buddy who's been holding it down for the Dragon Ball card game for a long time now. Buys a case of every set that comes out.
Yeah.
It was fine. There was really nobody else buying or collecting them, so it was easy enough to get them.
Yeah.
Cases of Dragon Ball have gone up 10 times.
Dragon Ball? Is that currently getting?
It's getting scalped. Goku, Vegeta. Just they're buying out Dragon Ball product for a game that has been on its last leg basically since it came out.
Yeah, I feel like you don't hear too much about Dragon Ball TCG players.
And I'm not shitting on the game. The Dragon Ball community is a niche and tight knit group. They don't need scalper pressure in their game. That was the one benefit, right? There wasn't that much competition.
It is always interesting to think about, what will a given community do when the scalpers come, to harvest. And I think some people argue that it can kind of help your game. I don't know that I agree with that much.
It helps your game if the one factor your game was missing was collectability. If your game was highly played, but the cards weren't very valuable, then scalpers entering into your space might actually bolster the prices of your cards. So it feels like it's more worthwhile to keep investing in your cards. But if your card was already had collector's value, at least to you in the community, scalpers can only hurt that.
Yeah, I know. I'll be honest. When I hear these sorts of things, I just almost mentally check out whenever I'm starting to hear the words invest, hold on to, the collectors are coming,
diamond hands,
all that stuff. Because I'm just man, these are. No, that's just my perspective as a Yu-Gi-Oh player. Yu-Gi-Oh is already more of a player's game than a collector's game, so I guess I'm maybe biased in that way. But when I hear people just talking about cards as investments, it just makes me just roll my eyes. It's very exasperating, to even engage in. I hope that that one Dragon Ball guy buying those cases.
He told me straight up he can't buy a case of their latest set.
Is that a Logan Paul thing, or is it just
I don't know. I feel like all of this stems from him. So even if he didn't directly cause it, I blame him.
Ultimately,
I do.
Well,
but hey, at least he's paying for manga.
Yeah, it's good for him.
In a weird way, manga. It's he's paid for a lot of people's manga all at once.
Yeah, Well, tell me all about it.
So, we mentioned that we had a story about a mangaka. And the mangaka in question here is Kei Urana of Gachiakata, who has been very active on Twitter defending her opinions about, manga piracy.
Yeah.
Which, and everyone knows, Twitter is the absolute best place for this type of discourse. You only get fair and level opinions.
So, yeah, a little bit of background on this, because I've sort of followed it myself as well, is she's been, Kei Urana is one of the younger mangaka. You know, a lot of mangaka are...
Old men.
Quite old, in their 50s, 60s, even older sometimes. And they aren't really actually even on social media. You guys will remember, like, even just people like Kazuki Takahashi, when he was alive. He wasn't on Twitter, I'll tell you that.
No.
He was actually notoriously quite a private person.
Pretty much a lot of those old mangaka, they were like hermits. They kept to themselves.
And I think that was sort of a cultural, just a general thing. Like, the creator does not really have this access to his or her fans, and nor do their fans have that access to them.
Akira Toriyama was much the same.
Wasn't like that. However, Kei Urana she is younger, and I think that she's on social media. She has every right to be. Don't want to claim that.
Some people do claim that.
She has every right to be on social media, and I think that she wants to engage with her audiences and her following and the people that enjoy her work and enjoy manga in general. I remember a few months back, she got into it with people around like OC Gachiakuta designs, and she was sort of insisting that
she didn't care for OCs.
That she didn't want people to use official assets and stuff. So that was the whole thing. This, though, is about... She
also didn't like them using AI to like create Gachiakuta characters as well.
Good for her. I agree. But anyway, so this is her update after kind of going back and forth with a lot of Westerners about whether or not it's okay to pirate manga, to read your manga on some illegal manga site.
Manga decks.
There's places that you might go. Do you want to read what she said? I know you also have this post that somebody replied to her.
I'm trying to find the original post. Do you have the original post? Because I don't have the original.
I have the original tweet pulled up here.
Okay. You read that, and I'll do the other one.
All right. So it's a long one. This is from Kei Urana.
And this is translated through like AI, right?
Yeah. So this isn't the Twitter translation thing.
Okay.
This is her putting it through a translator, and she says that at the end of the post. But at least it seems like this is a translator that she probably feels conveys her thoughts better. Because I'll tell you now, Grok Auto Translate has sometimes said some kooky things. And I think that it has further complicated a lot of these conversations for people, because I think people are getting the wrong idea about each other. Anyway, okay, here's what she says. I've spent the past few days researching the circumstances in different countries, including financial situations. I understand that for many people, pirate sites are the only way they can read manga. I also understand that prices can be higher overseas. I've even seen people saying, don't bring this issue up. But if we do not speak up now, the value of Japanese manga and creative works, built through the sacrifices and relentless efforts of those who came before us, will be wasted. I've also seen people say, reading for free doesn't hurt sales. That is not true. Free lowers the value of things. Once people grow used to getting something for free, they stop looking toward legitimate versions. I also understand that people who truly love a work will support it properly. We pour ourselves into creating so readers can enjoy our work. Compensation matters, of course, but more than anything, I do not want to see its value diminished. To help people who cannot afford to buy it or who do not have access to it enjoy these works, Ando and I have been discussing this for a long time and exploring many ideas. I cannot share details yet, but we are working on it. Publishers are making efforts as well. I'm sorry it's taking time, but please stop hurling accusations like you are racists or saying misguided things like piracy is free promotion for you. Yeah. We will continue doing everything we can so everyone can enjoy manga, and I ask you one thing in return. Please try to understand our perspective and our culture as well. And then she notes, I'm using a translation app. This post has a lot of likes, almost 100K likes, although comments were disabled. I think probably because of the spats that she's been getting in. And she even said, just to be sure, this is what I typed into the translation app in Japanese. And then she lists the Japanese thing, and then she lets Grok auto-translate that in a reply tweet. So she's being very careful and deliberate to make sure that, like, her points are coming across as clearly as she can convey them.
Well, too bad that does not matter on the internet.
That's true. Your first mistake was going on Twitter. Sorry. They hate you there. Okay, let's discuss this all seriously, though. What do you think about this, the whole, pirating manga as a general practice? Is this something, what are our thoughts on it?
So, I'm a long time weeb, just like a lot of people. I grew up, like, I pirated plenty of manga, but that actually wasn't how I first started reading manga. I was fortunate. My cousin had gotten into weeb things way earlier than me, and so she knew that I really liked Yu-Gi-Oh. She bought me the first volume of the Yu-Gi-Oh manga. First manga I ever read. I was very confused, but I loved it to bits. And because I saw the company on it said Shonen Jump, I asked my mom, like, where can I get this? I want more of this. We found it. It was at the bookstore. And I started reading Shonen Jump. We would purchase the volumes and then read them. And I got into a habit of going to the bookstore, buying manga, and reading it. But not all manga was available that way. There's plenty. And so I spent a lot of my teens pirating manga. It was just, otherwise it was hard to actually get it to read it. It was straight up difficult. And even if it was legally available, as a kid, income can be so limited. In fact, I was promised an allowance for like 5 years that never came to fruition, Dad. So, like, piracy was kind of my only option when I was a kid. But as an adult, I've still pirated manga even when I had money, but that was mostly because I literally couldn't get my hands on these series no matter how hard I tried. I do have a different perspective on the act of piracy now. I want to give my money to the artists that create the works that I enjoy. In fact, I go out my way to buy manga volumes of manga I pirated in the past. I'm not going to crack the book open and read it again now, but there is this kind of latent guilt that I have about the piracy. So if I get the opportunity to buy a legitimate copy, I'm going to do it, and I'm not going to think twice about it. Yeah. It's a rocky road for everybody because we all have different timetables, relationships, and wallets when it comes to this. But I think we should be trying to move towards legitimacy. I'm not saying you have to immediately start buying like hundreds of volumes of manga right now, but I feel like your goal should be to become legitimate.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way to put it. I was going to say too that so as far as manga is concerned, I am actually not really a manga reader at all. I didn't read manga growing up. I knew vaguely what it was, like, not really. My sister kind of read it a lot. I did not really read manga. I read books, but just not manga. And she would always buy her manga, and she'd kind of go to great lengths to buy it. And this is when we were, she was like 12, I'm like 11. She would, with any amount of income that we could get, she was always trying to buy them, order them, whatever. I don't know. I assume she probably also did some piracy too, or found some sites. It's interesting because I think that when you're a teenager and you're doing it, you almost don't even know that it's piracy.
You don't even think of it as piracy.
You kind of see it as more just like, oh, there's a site that has this. Like, that's great. Thank goodness. I don't have to spend this week's allowance on this.
Oh, a lot of times you wouldn't even know where to find it otherwise.
Yeah, and that was also at a period of time where manga wasn't as commonly on the shelf at a bookstore. It might be tucked away into a small section, and then that small manga section would have some of the popular mainstream stuff, but that might be it. Your more obscure manga you wanted to read, it might not be literally available in the United States. And in those cases, I know that that's something that people sort of cite as a way of a justification for, pirating manga or anime and other things like that. It's if it's not available in your country. I think that what I find very the slippery slope of it all, the sliding scale, is that I'm trying to figure out where to start with this. So generally, I'm one of those people who's kind of against piracy. At this point in my life today, I just don't do piracy. I guess you could say I'm like fortunate enough that I can generally afford the things that I want to consume, and I gladly will pay to consume things in the just kind of normal, straightforward way. And I would encourage other people to do so if they can. If you really can't afford it, I think that you should try to do that. I'm not going to grandstand and I'm not turn on your computer and show me your, where have you pirated anything? How dare you? I know friends who pirate things. Doesn't matter.
We all know. We all have friends.
We all know people. So and I'm not going and shouting them down about it. It's not the end of the world. It really doesn't matter to me. Not that much. I just don't do it personally. I think that this debate that these people have been having with Kei Urana has gone south because I've seen some of it and the things people have said to her. And the tone is very disrespectful. I think some people need to chill. Not all of them, but some people. That's Twitter. I think that she's probably experiencing a mixture of many things. The first being that Twitter is not a good place to have a conversation with anyone, to be honest, and certainly not being a creator trying to talk to an audience. I just think that it's asymmetrical. I think we talked about last week on the pod that kind of just this asymmetrical, we've never had so much access to celebrities, professional athletes, authors, writers, showrunners of our favorite thing, answering questions on Twitter. And so that accessibility, I think, will sometimes allow the fans or haters, whoever is talking to you, to dehumanize a little bit, or maybe bring people. It can get a little weird. I think people can get kind of rude and get kind of entitled. And I think that she's coming at a problem that can be quite mixed in terms of whether or not it's in good faith or bad faith. And she's coming into this problem in good faith because she is a mangaka and she believes that the work that she does, she should be compensated for. I agree with her, by the way. Before we move any further from that, I agree with her. But I think that she is coming at it trying to understand these perspectives, and it sounds like Westerners are generally the people who are saying this to her, because in Japan I know that culturally it is very frowned upon to pirate. There's a lot more respect around the mediums and the works that you consume, and kind of respect for the authors. But
to be fair, they don't have to work as hard to get to it.
Yeah, they don't have to work as hard to get to it. I'm gonna get to that. So in the West, a lot of us are more comfortable pirating. And people have so many different reasons why they do it. It's a bit of a soup. Some people genuinely cannot afford manga, but still want to consume it. Should they be barred from consuming it because they can't afford it? I am not here to answer such moral questions, but I would say that the people telling her that, well, it's okay to pirate it because I can't afford it, I think is probably not framing it very well. You have a thought?
I do have a thought, but it's not a kind thought.
Hey,
so I'm definitely going to say
Hey, let's hear it.
I don't even know if I even respect the opinions of people who who don't purchase manga. Because when every anime season, there's always a lot of new anime. There's a lot of hit new anime that everyone wants to talk about. And the anime comes out and everyone wants to post but this they changed this from the manga. This is different now too. And they'll say all that shit with not with not a single volume of manga on their shelves. Literally none. It's what you have this long Twitter post about the differences between this scene and Demon Slayer versus what happened in the manga, and you don't own any of it.
Yeah, I'll second that. I do find myself kind of, it's not that you are not able to, you're entitled to have an opinion, but I do think that it's kind of difficult to tell the mangaka of the thing that you are pirating that she should be okay with you pirating that thing.
Well, it sounds
difficult.
Like the Chris Brown thing. You not even in the club. You are watching the party from the outside and judging it as someone who's not invested in it. I think if you've purchased a work, there you actually approach it differently than someone who's getting it for free. I think that's where that whole inherent value thing comes in. When you get it for free, you don't value it as much as someone who paid for it. I think that would actually change how you feel about it.
Yeah. So I'm going to kind of go through some parts of her tweet. I figure, because I have so many thoughts and I'm just trying to think of what the best way to like approach this is. So maybe this is better. She first starts off by talking about how, you know, there are people that are telling her, don't bring this issue up. I think that's crazy. That is raw gaslighting. That is a lot of this. I think is gaslighting, but like that is just to tell her like, oh, well, just don't bring it up. No, she certainly has.
It's a problem.
I would certainly expect her to bring it up. Like she is the creator of this thing. It's weird because I think this gets at like that whole like people almost they are allowed too much access to creators, and at some point it begins to diminish their sense that their sense of respect for the person who's creating the very work they're enjoying. Don't bring this topic up. You just don't have the right to bring this to like what I don't. That's wild to me. I just can't. You know. Also, she says I've seen people say that reading for free doesn't hurt sales. I don't like this one too much either because if you are reading it for free, that is a sale that she should have had.
Yeah,
and that's just the way that I see it. I think that the way that a person reading on the Piracy site might argue it would be something more akin to, well, I wasn't going to buy it anyway, so my reading it illegally did not hurt your sales because you were never going to get my sale, either because I can't afford it or because I don't care enough about your work to spend the money that I have and can afford on it. But either way, it's not hurting your sales because I wasn't going to buy it.
Then you shouldn't see it. You should not be exposed to it. You should not be able to comment on it. The art is not a God-given right. Art is purely a luxury. Like you can call me elitist if you want. Like there's not many things more luxury than art. If you can't afford it, you don't.
Then just
don't do it. You don't get to enjoy it.
I think that this is a result of some, if I had to guess, the commodification of art. We talk about this a lot off camera. Is so much art is churned out off. You know, like companies have really gotten their fingers into art, and algorithms and social media sites have gotten their fingers into art.
Even AI thinks it has.
Yeah, and we all, and yeah, you know, I've noticed more and more people will say the word like content to describe everything they watch, whether that's the newest episode of Daredevil on Disney Plus, the next movie coming out, the leaked Avatar thing from last week, or a book you found or whatever, or an Instagram reel or whatever. It's all content. I think even just the use of that word and the way that all this content, air quotes, is like constantly pushed at us decreases the individual value of each piece of content. And it flattens it all into like just one thing in your mind is just the next thing that I consume.
Well, because content is something that's flung at you for free on the daily and you're just supposed to take it in.
Yeah, and so we've kind of allowed companies, they've created algorithms. Yeah, we've allowed them to create a waste bin of sorts. And it has the word content on it. But in being a waste bin, that means that it is inherently what? Disposable.
Yep.
So it means that whatever you consume, it all fits under the umbrella of this waste bin, and it is all something that you like. You use it, you throw it in this trash can, you take out the trash, like you dump it and forget it.
Yep.
And so the point I'm getting at here is that when there's so much content and people feel so entitled to it, that's like what you said, they feel entitled to it. It feels like it's almost a black box. Idea go in, content come out. Idea go in, new movie come out, right? Like just this magical thing where like you snap your fingers and the next movie's out. It's not like it needed, casting and costume designers and camera work and writers. It's just all of that is bleh, who cares? The movie came out, right? It magically came out. It popped up in front of you, and it's something you can just select on your TV or just whatever.
And then it's crazy. A person with that perspective on this quote unquote content will then put on the hat of a critic and try and critique it. And you didn't appreciate a single iota of the process that created it.
It does make you wonder how much you can appreciate something like this that you refused to like pay for. I find that, you know, that's tricky.
That's mind-boggling.
Yeah, and I think that there's something to be said about like, yeah, I guess if you pirate it, you can literally have opinions about what you read, but I think that almost some amount of the opinion does come from the fact that you chose to purchase it. Because like it's very easy to say a game is trash and you didn't buy it or play it at all. But I think that if you did buy it and play it, you might be more critical of it because you spent that money. Like, I don't think that this was worth $70. But I think that if nothing is, you know, if no money is transacted, I do think it can color that opinion some.
The analogy that comes to mind for me is someone pulls up in a Rolls Royce and I say, that's an ugly car.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's kind of like,
that's crazy for me, a poor, to be like, hey, that Rolls Royce right there, that's ugly. It's an ugly car. It don't look good. Bad car. Not sure why you bought it.
Yeah, yeah. So, and now I know that saying that can kind of come across as maybe, and we got this accusation
gatekeepy and elitist?
Yeah, a little gatekeepy, or even as though we're being like corporate shills, or perhaps, you know, we are, you know, defending capitalism or something.
No.
And
I defend art.
Yeah.
I gatekeep art. I'm elitist about art. Though you can attribute those words to me, but it's about art.
I think that it's just kind of the case that, for me anyway, that I don't care really that much about the companies that are, you know, pushing out movies and shows and stuff. Their bottom line, that's not my concern. So I don't want to defend, say, like, you know, Paramount in the case of the Avatar movie, right? I don't care about Paramount's money. I'm not telling you to, like, support them or like them or whatever. Buy it physically for all I care. That'd probably be better than getting a fucking Paramount subscription. I'm just saying, though, that, like, for the people who work on the thing, the author, the mangaka of, like, what you're reading, it is not, I find it disingenuous to tell this person to just be okay with piracy of their work.
I wish that I could, anytime I consume a piece of artwork, I wish I could actually take money out of my pocket and put it in the hands of the creator. But you can't do that. Nowadays, it's every publication, it's very corporate. There's so many different people who have put that volume of manga in that position for you to buy it, that the money has to be split up in like 16 different ways. But my thing is this, at least a portion of that will end up in the hands of the people who created this fantasy world I'm invested in. And to me, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's true. So the next thing that she also says is that people have been telling her, you know, about how like reading for free doesn't hurt sales. She says free lowers the value of things. I tend to agree. And then also, once people grow used to getting something for free, they stop looking toward legitimate versions. This is something
that's a fact.
Well, you know, it's another sliding scale. So, for instance, you said that you have pirated things in the past, but you now have gone back and tried to get physical copies.
But I'm a different breed.
But, well, have you tried to get a physical copy of everything that you've pirated?
No.
And so I think that's kind of where I think that's probably where she's coming from a bit, is that like people have told her that like, oh, well, my piracy's fine because if I really like it, I'll buy a physical one. Mm-hmm. But until then, I'll pirate everything. And it is true that some people, if they like it enough, will buy some of the things that really moved them and that they really liked. But for the rest, is that piracy just sort of okay? And it sounds like that's what they're trying to insist to her, is that that's like a fine way to, you know, engage with it.
There are cultural and regional differences on why people feel the way that they do. The like once again, the younger you are and the less money you have, the more that argument holds true.
Yeah.
You can't. It's like you consume a lot, but you can only pay for so much, and so you ultimately do. And if you are inclined to make physical purchases, you will buy the ones that mean the most to you. It's interesting as an adult, as a kid, because there wasn't a lot of like online manga reading when I was like very young, like between the ages of like 8 and like 14. All manga I read was legal. I bought every single volume of manga I read when I was that age. Now, as an adult, there's been some lapses in like my finances and life. It's impossible for me to buy physical copies of every bit of manga that I've read in my life. But I do make it a point to try to make purchases, to try to like give back some of what was stolen. I could not afford, because I don't know, you guys don't know me that well. I was a binge reader. Like, you know how people have addictions? For me, that was reading, and manga was included in that. It would be, if someone found a way to track how much manga I read in my teen years, like piracy wise, I'd be doomed.
Now, something that she also says is that she's been called racist, and I have seen people have been hurling this one at her.
We gotta stop throwing the racist word around. That's too easy, man.
I know why people are saying this. I think that they think that it's a matter of like, you Japanese people just think that us Westerners you're kind of lumping us all together and dismissing us as, greedy or whatever.
Bunch of thieves.
As a collective.
We're being racially profiled.
I think it is very interesting, and this is more of a general critique of like Twitter discourse. Mm-hmm. I'm just the biggest fan of Twitter. So I think that this is just a general consequence of like how arguments on the internet go these days.
We speak in big terms.
We speak in big terms. We speak in, hyperbole, good, evil.
You're an abuser.
Good, evil.
Pedo.
Hero, villain. This makes you a abuser. Pedophile.
Racist.
Whatever. Homophobe, transphobe,
we'll call
racist,
you whatever is the closest extreme.
We really we find these extremes and we lob them. And, and if we can use the strongest available language to describe somebody, to characterize them, then it, for us, allows this license to disregard what they say. And this is not me talking about any one certain thing. It happens every day in every sector of the internet, every fandom, whatever. You'll casually see these words thrown around. And I find myself almost like taken aback by just how often these words, like, it's strange because I never hear this stuff in the physical world, really. Like,
online.
No one says this stuff like, even when people get into disagreements at Walmart, let's say, over who can buy the last loaf of bread at Walmart, you won't actually hear anybody saying something along the lines of like, you are being a gatekeeper of this bread, and like a
racist gatekeeper.
You're something like racist. This makes you an abuser because you were like, you were a little bit rude to the cashier, and so that makes you an abuser. And it's like the type of speak that you only really hear online. Yeah. And I think that the people that are like kind of hurling this at her and similar mangaka who are agreeing with her know that words like this and using those sorts of words can make you feel validated and safe. Because as long as I'm able to call you, Alec, a bad umbrella term, it means I don't have to listen to anything else you are saying.
That's
because
true. One
little part of what you said kind of sounded racist or in some way problematic. And I don't know that anybody like her who is, I gotta give her credit. She is trying her damnedest to understand people.
I would have deleted my Twitter.
If I was her, I don't think I could have handled it. I would have been like, fuck this. No Twitter for me. Like, I just, like, turn it off. Don't engage with any of these people. But the fact that she has been trying to do that in good faith, and these things are still just being hurled at her, is really very telling. Because I think that those negative things that you can, like, say about a person, that they're a this, they're a that, they're, you know, whatever, you're this phobic, you're that, you know, anti whatever, this problematic thing, you're a bigot. It's like, anyone who is trying to hear you out and understand something, they probably aren't that thing. Whatever that negative, nasty term is, they really probably aren't that, because they are listening to you. So just a little respect goes a long way.
If I was her, I'd be petty. That next arc of Gachiakado would feature an idiotic villain who is the epitome of all Westerners.
Oh, yeah. So, I don't know. That's the gist of it. You know, yeah. It's not great. I don't think it's a pretty situation. I know that
I don't see any end in sight.
There are people listening to this conversation, us having it, and they're probably like, you know, they might give us these labels, right? You guys are
elitist, gatekeeper, racist.
You know, you're defending capitalism, all these things. That's fine. You're entitled to think that. But, you know, I think that she has raised good points here, and I think that the things that people are saying to her are a mixture of some truth and honesty and probably a lot more bad faith. And, you know. All right, so let's do a little bit of pot to decompress.
Take the edge off.
Speaking of, there was a new pot card that was announced.
Oh,
I
yeah.
I totally forgot to talk about that. I mean, we're not really one of those like card discussion sources, really. But it's like pot of laziness. There's a few different translations.
Another new face to add to the pots.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of cool because we did a video recently where we were like ranking the pots, and that was a new pot. So our video is going to be out of date.
I think it's going to rank kind of high.
I think it seems like it's a good one. It's kind of a mulligan card. Anyway, the viewer question is quite a general one, actually.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on the modern Yu-Gi-Oh community? I tried going to a locals recently, and they seemed like good people. However, I keep hearing stories and stereotypes that the community is the worst. Looking for more modern anecdotes, because I know a lot has changed in the past 10 plus years that these stories come from. And that's the question.
It's weird. The Yu-Gi-Oh community does get a bad rap in general. However, the current modern community is probably in the best state it's been in a long time. I think because one of the reasons why the Yu-Gi-Oh community I think gets a bad rap is we've always mixed people who have different ideas of how Yu-Gi-Oh should be together and put them in one space.
Yeah.
But for better or for worse, we've kind of separated the groups out more. Yeah. You don't get as much of that mixing. You go to a local now. I mean, they're pretty much there to play like modern Yu-Gi-Oh. They know what it is. They know what they're there to do, and they're here to play and like get in, get out.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess to start, I will broaden this question a bit and say that oftentimes I find when people discuss or like kind of refer to communities, like fandoms or like, you know, like this is the Marvel Rivals community, this is the League of Legends community, this is the, you know, whatever community. It's almost always kind of in a negative light because, and not always, but almost always, because I think of it this way, right? This is kind of an extreme way to put this, but basically when you see people talking about anything online, you're actually always listening to the psychopaths. Yeah. And what I mean by that is that the people that are enjoying any hobby actually aren't generally online talking about how much they enjoy the hobby.
Because they're doing it.
Out and doing it. If you like bowling, you're probably out bowling, not debating the optics and whatever is of bowling right now. And the same can be said of most video games, movies, whatever. You know, to varying degrees. But usually when you hear someone talking about the Yu-Gi-Oh community in those exact terms, the Yu-Gi-Oh community, they must sort of be almost referring to it and that almost comes with like an implicit negativity.
True.
Because if you are just enjoying, like if you're enjoying the Yu-Gi-Oh community, you're at locals, then you're just that. You are at locals. You're not on your phone talking about what the community is or isn't, because you are just there and you're talking and you're having fun and you're socializing at your card shop on Friday night, or, you know, you're playing around the table with your friends. So I say all that to say that any stories and stereotypes that you hear just kind of almost by definition are exaggerated.
Because it's rare that someone has a good experience and they go put it online, right?
Yeah, online's like where you go when you have a bad experience. It's like in college when you go to like those sites like Rate My Professor. I don't know if that's still around.
I would assume so.
But like there's that site like Rate My Professor, and you get to rate these professors, and like you kind of tend to notice something, which is that
the attractive ones have higher scores.
Right. It's just that, like, really, if you liked a professor and you had a good time in their course, you probably aren't actually the type of person to go and Rate My Professor and even give them a rating. You just, I like the professor. But when you go and Rate My Professor, you'll see a lot of, like, people who have bad things to say.
Outright slander.
Because you only really go on Rate My Professor when you have complaints about a professor, if that makes sense.
Because when you have, because a lot of times when you have a negative experience, you're looking for a way to like vent that emotion, that negativity, because oftentimes you don't have anything to do with it. So you look for a forum where you can express that, and that'll be like Reddit or a YouTube video, Twitter.
Yeah, and you want a little validation. You want like, other people to say like, yeah, I had that experience too. They're so bad. Anyways, I say all that to say, what are my thoughts on the modern Yu-Gi-Oh community? Pretty good, actually. Like, the times I've been going to regionals and stuff, it's been very kind. I've had nary a bad experience. I have seen a couple of like kind of crash outs or little rude things, but it is very much the minority. Like those people are just here to play their games and, you know, be with other Yu-Gi-Oh players and get in and get out. Like, nothing seems that intense. It's not, you know.
Not those online Yu-Gi-Oh players, the ones that just exist on Twitter and Reddit and places.
Yeah.
They miserable.
I can't speak for that.
They are not happy.
Yeah, that crowd, jury's still out. Like, I think you'll find some people who are pretty kind online. It's actually probably the majority even. But the ones you'll hear from the most loudly are kind of nasty, kind of mean, kind of miserable. Like kind of...
Even us, when you think about it, you know, we're online personalities, and, you know, when we made our, we made videos and skits about, like, Yu-Gi-Oh players.
Yeah, like stereotypes.
Did we ever make one about, like, how nice and welcoming the Yu-Gi-Oh community is?
Right, yeah, but that's true, right?
So, like, we're online, and even we spread negativity. We got to work on ourselves. We got to make a video that's just, like, the positives.
Just the positives. Gets, like, 10 views.
10 views.
No, but I mean, it's true, though. Like, we've made, you know, part of our name and just kind of like, here's the stereotypes, here's the Yu-Gi-Oh pet peeves, these are the annoying people who are going to come to your card shop. I sometimes feel like regret, not like regret, a little regret, I guess, like shame, like some responsibility in perpetuating some of this stuff.
We have perpetuated it in the name of comedy and getting views.
Content.
Favorite
word of the day.
But in our case, it's important to remember that it's satire. But these Reddit posts and tweets, that's not satire.
Yeah, really usually pretty serious there. I'll just say this. I think that the modern community is fine. I do like the point that you made that it looks a little bit more stratified nowadays. Mm. Like, I think that the expectation is that if you are like playing paper Yu-Gi-Oh today, you probably are like pretty serious about it. Not even like YCS winner serious, but like...
And you enjoy it. This is how you like to play Yu-Gi-Oh.
Mm-hmm. What else did I say? Looking for more modern anecdotes, because I know a lot has changed in the past 10 years when these stories came from. I'm trying to think of like one good anecdote. I have seen a lot of people who are willing to give new people cards. Like, that's been a more common thing for me. I've noticed a lot of people will just, like, if they have spare, like, common staples, like just some of the stuff that you get off, you know, these like legendary modern decks or like the really cheap cores, people will just kind of Just hand them over to people. Like, it's not, there's a little bit less of that brand of gatekeeping or whatever you want to call it, you know. I feel like people are pretty willing to just be like, here, just take it. Like, it's pretty chill in that way. I also think, well, did you have one?
My anecdote is just when I go to a local, what's more common than anything else is people just, they want to just tell you about their deck. They take so much pride in their creations. They really do love, like, and that's what makes kind of losing in Yu-Gi-Oh can feel so like crushing, because people love what they've crafted. A lot of people, they put a lot of their personal like self into the decks they build, and there's something like nice and there's something adorable about the fact that Yu-Gi-Oh players like put a piece of themselves in their decks when they build them, and there's always this moment where there's a slight harmony at the table when everybody is just like they're trying to tell you about the text they put into their deck, and
people there's a lot of personality that goes into it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's way more harmony, I feel like, at a Yu-Gi-Oh table than like dissonance.
The second anecdote that I was going to give, and I think this is a really great look at, you know, human connection, something cheesy like that, is that, do you remember when the time rules got updated?
Yes.
And there was a lot of hubbub about, you know, like, these are going to be a prisoner's dilemma extraordinaire. Everyone is just going to drag their opponent down with them. And I have gone to 5 regionals since then, since those changes were implemented. I've also played it, like, obviously some locals too. I have not once met someone who's tried to abuse those rules. It doesn't, like, there was so much distrust of your fellow player. Like, someone's going to, like, do this bad thing, and, like, you know, they need to change this. Everyone's going to exploit it. Everyone's going to abuse it. But, like, when I go to these events, it is just an understood thing. Listen, no, we don't want to lose. So I think that there's a bit of a social contract that people uphold, which is, let's just both try to fucking finish this duel in good faith and get done and just have a winner and, you know, shake hands and be done with it. Like, no one's actually trying to slow play. Anytime that somebody falls behind in game 3, they just concede. Or certainly they don't, I don't see people slow playing. It's just the game plays out. You'll even see people who will concede in the last 5 seconds because it's like, well, okay, I'll just concede before time is called so we don't have a double loss. You were winning, so here, take the win. Like, I knew that you were going to beat me if time had continued. That's how, you know. And it's not.
You've done that?
Yeah, actually, I have done it at a regional before.
Oh, get him, Konami.
No, I didn't do it after the time was called. Maybe. I don't know. But, like, it's like, it's kind of one of those things where, for all the fear that you have and the paranoia about how something's going to go wrong, how people are going to be terrible to you, some of that's all really in your head. Right. Because when it really comes down to it, people came here to play Yu-Gi-Oh, not to just play Prisoner's Dilemma and just be toxic. And so it's something that, I guess, it brings me back to that first thing where, you know, if you only hear this stuff online, there's an inherent negativity and an inherent distrust and an inherent, you know, just doubt about your fellow man. They're always going to be out to get you. And then you just log off, put the phone down, go to your card shop. You'll forget all about that. You really, truly will. Like, it'll just, you're happy to play Yu-Gi-Oh! People, that's it. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
That is our question for the day, which means the Pot of Greed has come to an end.
Yeah. Thanks so much for joining us. I really hope you've been enjoying your day so far. Continue to enjoy the rest of your weekend. And a little reminder, hype the video.
Yeah, if you're on mobile, you can always hype us up.
We'd appreciate that.
Helps out small channels like ours.
And also, we have a clips channel that we started. It's called APS Pod Clips. The link is in the description. It's just the same podcast chopped up into bite-sized doses. We would appreciate some more subscribers and maybe a little bit of watch time there. We can monetize it at some point.
And go ahead and leave comments on what you think we should rename the channel into.
they'll do that either way. What should we name that first segment at the beginning where we share? Like, I think that should be the shards where we share.
It could
stuff.
be the shards. I
Shard
kind of like the word shard.
Yeah, it does sound a little like violent, even like something you might step on.
I was thinking more like a shart.
Or that, yeah.
Well,
anyway,
shards of greed.
Shards of greed. Okay, well, that's been it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. We'll see you next time.
Pass turn.